And the president has some pretty ambitious economic growth targets. We made it for one quarter, his goal of 3%. But if you want to make sure that that goal is continually hit, having people who are here, who are working, who are contributing, who have an employment rate that's higher, actually, than native-born Americans in the same age range is crucial to trying to make that economic growth target. And these are a group of people who don't really compete with that many Americans in the workforce to begin with.
So that's what we were talking about here on the show last night, some of the economic benefits from the DACA program. Now, DACA stands for the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. It's an Obama-era policy allowing people who enter the country illegally as children to stay here and to work here. There have been reports, we talked about them, that President Trump is thinking about rolling it back. The White House says we can expect a decision to be announced on Tuesday. With that, to the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce President and CEO, Javier Palomarez, who joins us tonight. And Javier, I want to take a closer look at that question, the economics. There's a lot being said about the politics and about the emotion involved in this decision about immigration. But the president, you heard the guest from the Cato Institute, is among those people urging the president not to do anything here because it doesn't make sense on an economic basis. What's your take?
Correct. You know, first, I couldn't agree more with you, Connell. If you look at this from an economic perspective, we have to begin with the facts. First of all, the 800,000 DACA or Dreamer individuals have to go a rigorous background check. None of them, if they are DACA individuals, are eligible for any kind of government subsidies or welfare. None of them have ever committed a crime. So let's begin with that.
Right.
Secondly, they pay over $2 billion on an annual basis in terms of federal and state taxes. And then thirdly, if you were to deport them or attempt to deport them, it would cost the American taxpayer over $60 billion.
Right.
And over a 10-year period of time, we would lose, from an economic standpoint and a growth standpoint, we would lose in excess of $280 billion in terms of economic growth over the next decade because we've exported these 800,000 educated and willing individuals, by the way, who came here through no knowledge of their own.
Right, they were kids.
Most of them arrived before the age of 6.
Yes, many of them, yeah. Some younger than that, I heard them speaking today. But yeah,
Absolutely.
Young kids who spent their whole life here and have been working here and doing so with these work permits now. By the way, as we're talking with Javier, I just want to break away just for a second and come back to this discussion. This is breaking news from Crosby, Texas. Remember we were there last night with Hillary Vaughn at that chemical plant, the Arkema chemical plant? These are live pictures we're getting from our affiliate KRIV in Texas. There's obviously smoke coming from the area around that chemical plant at this hour. And in the left side of the building, as we look at it on the screen, those are flames. We can see a fire has started. Now, Hillary had told us last night there were concerns as she was watching that plant and reporting from there that there would be more explosions, as she put it, and that we might see that in the next day or two. Now, here we are tomorrow night, being tonight, and we're seeing all the flames, and we're seeing the smoke rising. We don't know exactly what's causing this, but if we find out anything else, we will obviously tell you. But these are pictures live from Crosby, Texas tonight, the same place we watched last night. That's at Arkema plant, the chemical plant. Wow. All right, Javier's still with us talking about the DACA story, which is another big one that we've been following. The president's heard from all sides on this, right? And I'm sure for many in his base who are urging him to do something about it. But from the business community, there's this letter that's been signed by hundreds of business leaders. It's been made out that that tech leaders are leading the way, and they are to some extent, the likes of Mark Zuckerberg, but it's others, Mary Bauer from GM and Warren Buffett and the like. Here's a quote from that letter. All DACA recipients grew up in America, registered with our government, submitted to extensive background checks, and are diligently giving back to our communities, paying income taxes. That's what they say in that, and they, like you, Javier, they put numbers on this, saying the economy could lose $460 billion if, you know, these people aren't in the workforce anymore. Now, to be fair to the president and to the Republicans who are working on this, some of them are working on this from what we understand in Congress right now, seems like they might come up with or try to look for some sort of a middle ground. You think there is one where there's maybe some sort of a new DREAM Act that conservatives put together?
Listen, I'm a businessman. I think there's always an opportunity to find solutions, particularly when we're looking at the economic impact. And I'm so happy that you're talking about this, you know, Connell, from an economic perspective. We need to focus on the commercial and economic interests of our nation. These individuals, some 65,000 of them graduate high school every year.
Right.
10,000 of them graduate college every year. Again, they don't get any kind of government subsidy whatsoever. There's a very high employment rate amongst them. These are young people who are here. This is the only country they know. They want to work. We want to put them to work. It's the right thing to leave them in this country, the only country they've ever known.
It's an announcement coming Tuesday from the president. We don't know what it will be, but we'll follow up on it. Javier, thanks.